Hello everyone, my name is Awot, and I'm going to be running through some of the assets that were added of the Aztec DLC. This is great if you want to draw those custom scenarios with detail, or in my case, I'm a custom map maker for the game. I make a bunch of maps for the skirmish mode that you can change the size, player count, and then play online with your friends. And of course, you'll notice some of these assets in the new Aztec maps that came out. There's 5 of them. I think the 5 new maps added in the Aztec DLC are actually pretty good. So let's dig into the assets you can find. So the first 2 tile sets that were added to the game I'm going to go over are actually the ones that aren't used in any of the skirmish maps. That's right, even though they went through the effort of making these tile sets, they're not using it for any of the skirmish maps whatsoever. Instead, I assume these tile sets are exclusively found in the campaign, which is a shame because I think this jungle tile set looks fantastic. And yeah, since I make custom maps for this game, I'm constantly working with the terrain we got. So you might hear me saying this looks like another terrain. That's because Age of Mythology usually just recolors existing terrain. So for example, the jungle assets we got going here, which are actually called Aztec Marsh in the game's files, these assets are actually just a darker green recolor of the existing marsh assets. Which, don't get me wrong, I'm not hating on them in any way, shape, or form. In fact, I'm super excited to have all these recolors because I'm going to do so many things with them. So let's actually look at them. So first up, we have the jungle slash Aztec Marsh kind of deal we got going on here. I put red team in the corner so they'll behave, but let's go look at the water. So from left to right, we have shallow, lake, and hybrid. And then we got 4 whole new trees this update. Very exciting. I love these bright lime trees. Then we got our desert trees for the Aztecs. Then we actually got a new palm variant called Mexican palm. And then the last tree to the right looks like a great jungle tree. When you take a quick look at its bark here, I like the bark color. I kind of stare at these things when no one's around. But then we move on to the animals. That's right, there's quite a few animals adding this update. So first off, we have the alpaca. They're so cute. They're so fluffy, and with 200 food, they're kind of like the deer of the Aztecs, since deer also have 200 food on them. And then I see a capybara in the files, but I see it's not a huntable animal, so it might be a decoration for the campaign exclusively. Then we have the tapir, and they also added a baby version of it for us to eat, which has 1/3 the food. I think tapir is the first animal to have 300 food. But yeah, weird enough about the capybaras that if you looked earlier, you would have noticed that they have a colored tag around their neck. This is something you typically notice with herdables, since wild animals typically don't have that tag. So I wonder if at one point the capybara was meant to be a herdable, but then they ran out of budget, so they're keeping it as just a decorative animal at this point. Anyway, the Aztec DLC has a bunch of new predators, starting with the anaconda. Then you got the small little ocelots over here. And yes, I'll show you that they do act like predators in the sense that they will attack your villagers if they move too close to them. Then up ahead, we have 2 jaguar types that are separate units for some reason. You have the black jaguar and the normal jaguar. Well, actually, the black jaguar is called jaguar parentheses black, which is really weird, since the black bear is just called the black bear. I also wonder about their decision to make this a separate animal instead of having one animal and having multiple variants like they do with the deer. You know, sometimes the deer has horns and sometimes it doesn't. They could have just done that here. Oh yeah, and then there's the bird flying over it. It's really nice. I think that one's called a quetzal. Let me go ahead and look for the other bird here. Oh, there's a new vulture type we got in the game's files. It's called the turkey vulture. And then we got this beautiful macaw parrot over here. It's amazing. I have been asking for new birds for so long, and they finally answered with not one, but 3. I'm so grateful. For reference, the last bird we got was the flying red-crowned crane that appears on Peach Blossom Land, but that's the only map that it naturally appears on, as far as I know. But yeah, the capybara is treated like a panda currently, as in you cannot harm it at all. And if you place an editor, it'll force it to be the nature team, and you cannot have a player own one. In order to get a player own one, you have to use cheats. And yeah, the capybara doesn't do much. I was hoping even if you use cheats, it would give you a herdable version of it. But let's move on to the underworld assets. So the Aztecs have new underworld assets. As far as I know, the cliffs are the exact recolor of the Hades cliff. And then the Aztecs underworld has this juicy red color. It looks so nice. As far as I know, that's just the Hades lake, but recolored to have a red edge. Kind of like how this is the Marsh Lake, but recolored to have the yellow edge on to the left over here. But one of the new cliff colors is new as this one, and this looks so intense and cool. I wonder what the context it's used for in the campaign. Excited to try and make a map with that cliff on it. Then the rest of these unused assets are just recolors of the Hades assets. I think they're ever so slightly lighter gray. And that's it for these assets. But let me move on to the main assets that they actually do use within the skirmish maps. So we got a lot of stuff going on here. The Aztecs have 2 tile sets they use. The first one's called Aztec Aslan, and then the second one's called Aztec Valley. So I've thrown some of them on the map, and let's explore them. You can see that they're very similar to Egypt's with their focus on sand, palm forest grass, and savanna forest grass. I think they're lacking a normal forest grass, unlike other pantheons. You can see here, I'm going to go around observing these assets and comparing them to the existing assets that are already in the game. Overall, though, I appreciate these assets so much. The Egyptian assets are just so bright. You can see on screen that when I put the Egyptian version down, it's just such a bright, blinding yellow. So to have these deep red colors that are soft on the eyes is so nice, especially if you want to make a map without fundamentally changing your entire lighting system so it would fit the Egyptian sand. But yeah, I really appreciate the Aztec colors. These are the Aztlan ones first. I think that's what they're called. And then there's a very similar set called the Aztec Valley. They share most of their terrains, except the valley has different alternative shadings of it. So you might notice the valley colors are a little bit more desaturated or more in the red hue, while the non-valley colors are lighter in the red hue, but more saturated on other parts. Or at least that's what I've noticed. I don't know, I could be absolutely wrong. But yeah, in this clip, you'll just see me running through and comparing the Aztec assets to what already exists in the game, just comparing the colors and seeing what situations I could use these colors for that I couldn't use previously. But yeah, maybe you as the viewer can also see what all these terrains are based off of and learn, like, oh, hey, that's this type of terrain, or from that family of terrain. Or honestly, maybe not. That sounds kind of weird. Just maybe have an understanding as to why I remember all the terrains in the game. Since I bet you I'm probably doing this a lot more off screen while no one's looking. Oh yeah, and I forgot to show off the turkeys as well. How can I forget? The turkeys are literally one of the best additions to the game. I've been asking and asking for a new herdable, and we finally got one. In specific, this is an oscillated turkey and not the normal turkey you see during Thanksgiving. And it actually has a unique food number, which is 250, unlike the other herbables, which have 300, except for the cow, which has 400. I definitely appreciate the turkey being added. It just adds a new dynamic. And, all the videos I watched so far, one of the first things people say is like, oh, look, it's a turkey. So it's crazy how this little turkey means so much to the community. But yeah, super glad this got added. I'm gonna be trying to shove this in as many maps as possible. Speaking of me trying to shove turkeys in maps, let's explore some of the progress I've made on my maps so far. So these are custom maps for my mod Awot's Otherworldly maps. So some of you may know or love Awot Nomad, and I've already went ahead and integrated the two new biomes as promised. I previously said that I would get the jungle biome out alongside a dirt biome, and here they are. Now for the dirt biome, I actually used a different dirt than the Aztec dirt because I decided the aggressive red was too much. But if you like the red of the Aztecs, no worries because now the savanna has a variant. It will now sometimes spawn as the Aztec savanna instead of normal savanna. I actually put a line of code so that it'll detect when it's using the Aztec version of the savanna and it'll add turkeys instead of goats. And then on top of that, it'll try to add capybaras whenever possible. The capybaras are purely decorative, but I feel like they should be seen more. So I'm gonna be trying sneaking them in as many of my maps as possible. It's a shame they weren't added as herdables though, even if it was a secret herdable you wouldn't get in a normal map. So in a few days you might see me petitioning on the Age of Empires subreddit or forum for them to add the capybara as a herdable. Since the model already exists, it surely can't be that hard, right? I wouldn't even mind if they didn't add a fat capybara model like how they do with the other fat herdables. As long as we can start herding those capybaras. You can see that I've also put capybaras in Butterfly Lake. Oh, and look, Butterfly Lake has been reskinned from what you guys previously saw to what it was intended for, which was to have a jungle in the middle and have a dirt area surrounding it. But don't worry, you guys like the previous look? It has been added as a rare variant. And then a cruel thing I did in this map was I actually replaced the chickens you spawn with the new baby tapirs, since they actually have the same food value as chickens, so you're not losing any food. I just thought this was a funny thing you could do. I'm surprised that they didn't do it themselves. Oh, speaking of surprises, another thing that surprised me is that the Aztecs don't actually have their own plant or rock family. For all other pantheons, they have their own set of plants and rocks, but the Aztecs do not. So, for example, you go on a map and you see the orange bush. I think it's a cloud forest map. That's actually the tundra family of bushes. So it's kind of surprising they didn't do that this time. But I'm not complaining since I have been doing this myself, where I don't actually use the corresponding plant for the aesthetic sometimes, or I've been trying to mix match it where possible, such as using tundra bushes in more warm colored biomes like they are doing now. So it's great to see them doing that too, being frugal with the assets they got. Well, I say that, but some of the new tiles they added were identical to existing tiles, but we're going to look past that. Overall, though, I'm so excited for what they added. I'm excited to play with them and make maps of them. I'm so thankful for this update. I'm thankful overall to have the Aztecs in the game, even though I didn't talk about that much. I'm really enjoying playing the Aztecs gameplay wise. I just decided not to focus on that since I'm sure all the other people are focusing on that right now. And there's probably a lot better sources of information you can get on the gameplay department. So I'm going to be focusing on this thing since this relates to what my channel is more about, which is my map pack and admiring the beautiful terrain that Age of Empires has given us through this game engine. Since that's why I chose Age of Mythology over Age of Empires 4 was that I admired how beautiful this engine looks compared to the Age of Empires 4 one. But yeah, I'm so thankful for the inclusion of the capybara, even if it is a panda situation. I'm thankful for the alpacas, the new terrain sets for sure, especially the jungle one, and then the newest herdable, our turkey. Oh, and the new birds for sure. Those new birds look so good. I'm so excited to use them. But that's it for today. It's a little bit less structured and less edited, mainly because, the DLC launched today, and usually I edit my videos 2 or 3 days in advance, so this is the same day editing kind of deal. And also because my eyes started hurting halfway through, I didn't want to look at the screen too much, so I'm taking a little bit of shortcuts on the video editing and just having this more of an unstructured, unprofessional slop talk session of sorts. But thank you for watching. Let me know if you guys like any of the assets, animals, or anything else, whatnot, and have a great day.